This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I have the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Disappointed!
Out in the nation, Waldorf Nation. Everybody, welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. Got a fun one for you today. Welcome to it. A lot of different stuff. We, of course, have Republicans turning on Donald Trump. Interesting. In a way. We'll talk about that. We got Kevin Sorbo getting clowned for his anti-vax takes. That's fun and hilarious. We have Charlie Kirk, an organization he has created to try to propagandize your kids. Not doing so well. A little bit of setbacks there. So that's fun. We got Matt Walsh busted. Just an incredibly disgusting thing that he's been trying to do to try to war against trans people. We've got that. We have the Bible. Republicans react to the Bible. That's fun. And then, do you want to see Jeff Bezos' boat get egged? Well, I do. And it may be a reality. It may happen. Things could pass. All right, anyway. Yes, I know it's easy to dunk on Kevin Sorbo, which is why it's fun. And I plan to do this today because we need a little bit of fun today. All right. Anyway, so before we before we jump into it, there's a lot of dumps. They might even be
Big, massive dumps.
There could be big, massive dumps. All right. No, we're gonna jump into it. All right. Anyway. Before we do, please like and share the stream. Only here will you have me constantly mess up on simple words. The most simplest word, the greatest words, the most tremendous words that I will mess up on. And so, fun. Okay, anyway. All right. Dumps so big. Yes, the big, massive dumps. You don't understand how big the dumps are. All right? Honestly. You cannot fathom the size of these dumps.
Dumps.
Okay, anyway. All right. Again, you will not be disappointed.
Disappointed!
Okay. All right. Now, I feel like we've established this, so let's move on. Oh, you know what? Why don't I check my videos, see if that's right first. All right. Former President Donald Trump might have just lost Brian Kilmeade. Take a look.
So you were talking to a couple guests ago about Donald Trump, and He keeps talking about 2020, and it really concerns me that, he might get the nomination for the Republican Party, and he's going to continue to talk about that, and it could cost us in 2024. I was watching him in his rally a couple of weeks ago in Arizona, and the first thing he comes out and starts talking about is the 2020 election, and it's almost cringeworthy that he keeps talking about it. It was so bad. I mean, I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it anymore. And I'm a huge Trump supporter.
Listen, I can't tell you. I was with one of his best friends, his same age, and he called him up after two of them, and they did it to me separately. After that Arizona rally, not Texas, they said Texas was better, but after the Arizona rally, they called him up and said that was the worst speech you ever gave, because nobody cares about your topics. You have to go. There's so much to talk about. It matters to you and I, Logan, right now. And I could not care less about party politics. I care about America. And right now, nobody cares about 2020. Nobody. And everything that he said and the challenges that he made should have been done before the election. And they did a recount in Arizona, and the recount showed no difference almost. And he came out and said it showed that they won Arizona. That's an outright lie. And please stop wasting our time with that, because he's capable of doing so much more.
Oh, wow. Damn. Would you look at that? Brian Kilmeade and this Trump supporter, Logan, they're getting a little bored. Oh, are you getting bored of the consistent election lies? Yes. Yes, they are. Oh, I love it. So, look, for anybody who's expecting, Brian Kilmeade just said, well, he's capable of so much more. I got news for you. Nope. He is not capable of anything else. Honestly, here's the thing. If you think that Donald Trump actually cares about the country, or has ever cared about the country and the people that live in said country, then I'm sorry to say that you have bought into an even bigger lie than the election lie that they're pushing. Honestly, this entire election, 2020, was about Donald Trump's ego. And that's it. That's why he's obsessed. He can't get over it. He can't mentally handle the idea that he's a loser. He's absolutely obsessed to a dangerous degree. And so now, as I mentioned, Kilmeade goes on to talk about, he had such great accomplishments. He should be talking about those. Oh, yes, please talk about those accomplishments. Like the tax cut that over time will actually, the gains of that will go to 83% of the gains of the tax cut will go to the top 1%. That's after the middle class tax cuts expire. Yes, let's please talk about that. How most of the gains, again, the gains for the rich, permanent, the gains for the middle class, those tax cuts expire. Gone. So now to a greater point though, the obsession about 2020. Honestly, he is losing people as a result of this. Again, he's lost a lot of members of his party, at least publicly, and certainly privately, he's lost more. And then now he's starting to lose his own supporters. It's not that they don't like him. It's not that Trump is still not entertaining. It's that the fact that he is obsessed, he is stuck. And they're bored. They're like, please talk about something else. Talk about how the windmills are causing cancer. Talk about how you can't take a shower. Say something entertaining, clown man, please. Or clown president. Now he's just out there talking about the same thing over and over and over again. Oh, the election, it was stolen, lie, Mike Pence. No, it's not. None of what you say is true. It's been debunked a million times. Plus, it's getting very old and very stale. It's not even fun to cover Donald Trump anymore because he doesn't say anything funny. He just says things that are sad. And so, no, they can't talk about actual issues. Now, that said, none of this means that people won't vote for Donald Trump if he wins the nomination in 2024, of course. But look, they're getting tired of the shtick. They want Trump, but they want him to talk about other things. All right, that's it. Actual issues, real issues. Again, talk about inflation. You can talk about inflation. You can talk about healthcare. You can talk about that. And there are, again, many different issues that you could actually discuss. But no, he comes out because the only thing he has is, oh, they stole the election from me. And look, I'm going to keep hammering this point home. When you're dealing with Trump, you're not going to get anything. Donald Trump is not somebody who's serious about issues. All he wanted was power, fame, people kissing his ass, and of course, to use public policy to try to help himself and his own businesses. Who do you think benefited from the tax cuts with the rich? Well, he did, of course. Now, one last point, and I think it's actually pretty significant. Kilmeade literally called Trump a liar. He says he's lying about this. Now, that's a pretty big deal. That's a really big deal. Again, he said that is an outright lie, what he said in Arizona. Yes, they did a recount, and the results were just about the same. In fact, in every place they've done the recounts, they found a smattering of additional votes. Some went to Biden, some went to Donald Trump. None of these had any result significant enough to change the outcome of the election. And everybody knows it. Now, I generally think Brian Kilmeade is a dunce. But in this case, he's correct. He has come correct with the facts, and that is pretty rare. And now you have Fox News personalities. He didn't do it on Fox News, to be fair. He didn't do this on Fox News. This was his own podcast. But still, when you start losing openly Fox News hosts, I mean, that's not good. That's not good at all. Not for him. Okay. Moving on. Enough time on that story. Let's clown on Kevin Sorbo. Actor Kevin Sorbo almost made a good point about healthcare in this country. Entirely by accident, of course, because it's Kevin Sorbo. Here it is. Here's his tweet about the vaccines, sort of. He says, if the shots were given away for free because they're life-saving, why isn't insulin free? Chemotherapy, EpiPens. Why, Kevin? That is a very interesting question. Very interesting. And you know, I've been asking that same question for a long time. Why isn't life-saving medication free for every single American? It is almost as if we have some sort of greed and profit motive endemic in our healthcare system that is for profit, that prevents medications from being accessible to the people who need them as a result of the cost. I mean, talk about being so close to the point. So close to the point. Now, the solution, of course, is universal health care. Medicare for all, single payer. There's another solution, of course, to this, not just one. Nationalize the pharmaceutical industry. Or you can, at the very least, allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices, which will cause the price to go down. Now, of course, I'm sure that Kevin Sorbo, not in favor of either of those things. No, his entire point was to push anti-vax nonsense, but it very ironically turns out to be a pretty good own against our broken-ass healthcare system. And as such, a lot of lefties responded saying, way to go, Kevin. You are so close, just a little bit further. In fact, Brittany Nupper says, endorsing universal health care to own the libs? Well, to be fair, the Democratic Party doesn't really support single payer or Medicare for all. In fact, Joe Biden has pretty much given up on doing, at this point, right? We haven't heard a damn thing about a public option even. And so their big idea was expanding COBRA, which we all know, COBRA, junk. All right, another person says, you're right, it should all be free. Yes. Mancrick's wife I love the reference here. Thank you for supporting single-payer healthcare, Kevin. Aaron Heritage says, imagine how much personal freedom you could have to live your conservative values if you had free healthcare at the point of service. Let's get Republicans to support this before Democrats steal your idea, Mr. Sorbo. I love that tweet because there's a couple of different layers to it, right? Again, coming at it from a conservative perspective, like, hey, healthcare is freedom, freedom from being tied to a certain job that you might hate because of the healthcare benefits. Yeah, that's freedom. Health is freedom. And then, of course, you have the whole idea pointing at how the Democrats actually stole the idea for Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, from Mitt Romney, Romney Care. That's where the Affordable Care Act's provisions actually came from, a lot of which, at least a lot of the provisions there. And that's, by the way, we got that at a time when Democrats had full control of Congress, of all the branches of government. Super majority, could have passed something, could have passed a public option, but instead we get what we have now. Disaster. But yeah, the whole idea, of course, tying healthcare to your job or anything like that is just absolutely ridiculous. There's more. David Dole, a friend of the show, says, glad to see you support Medicare for all. Another person from a different country says this, in Malaysia, insulin is free. So are most medications. Minimal charge to hospital admission. There are many other countries to socialize healthcare. They enjoy free medicine and hospitalization. Unlike, of course, in America, because, you know, America. And Mike Drucker says, hell yeah, to really own the left if you guys made all that medicine free. Please don't. We would hate it. Oh yes. Kevin, you want to own the libs? You want to make the liberal tier slow? Support Medicare for all. Please. A couple more here. Some people point out, correctly, that, hey, they're not actually free. They're paid for by the government from taxes that we pay. Yeah, that's how it works. We pay taxes, and instead of it, you know, that money going to make skeletons in the Middle East, they could actually go and make it so that people live in the United States. I know, weird. Yes, you know what? That's actually what I would want my tax money to do, is for it to come back and benefit not just me, but everyone else by paying for health care. And then someone else points out, all the research and testing was paid for with our taxes. This is in regards to the vaccine. Why should some corporation get to parachute in, buy up the patents, and then overcharge obscenely on things we already paid to develop? And of course, look, we've all seen the stories, Martin Shkreli, Pharma Bro. You also have the other pharmaceutical companies that have been raising prices of prescription drugs. I've covered this all on the show, where I've talked about how they're just willy-nilly raising the prices of these prescription drugs that people need. And they rely on to survive because it's literally a case of your money or your life. They are highwaymen, and they are here to simply rob us. So now, so many different great questions here. And I just want to thank Kevin Sorbo for starting this wonderful conversation, this discourse. Although I'm sure at the end of this entire discussion, he's probably not happy at the result. In fact, I believe we have him responding to the direction in which this conversation went. Here it is.
Disappointed!
Oh, sad. Okay. All right. You know I had to do that. You know. All right. Moving on. Let's go to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's plan to open a propaganda school is not going very well. In fact, on Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that one of the major backers behind Kirk's America First online academy has decided to pull out. And there are, of course, reasons for that. Now, according to that report, a company in the early stages of realizing Kirk's vision was anticipating millions of dollars in revenue from Turning Point Academy, part of an effort to market K-12 curriculum to families seeking what they considered to be a America First education. America First education. What does that even mean? What is an America First education? I mean, I live in America, okay, and I went through K-12 education, and all these topics were very U.S.-centric. And so, I don't know. I mean, again, we went through U.S. history, U.S. government. We learned all about that in high school. Very, very U.S.-centric. By the way, I mean, there are things that obviously they didn't teach you in high school. They glossed over a lot about the realities of U.S. history. And so there was stuff that wasn't in there. For example, Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, racist laws against Chinese immigrants after, they helped build the transcontinental railroads. We didn't really hear as much about the labor struggles where Appalachian miners literally had shootouts with Pinkertons, with police for workers' rights, the corporate-funded police, all right? That's stuff that, I would have wanted to know back then. Stuff that we should have known. That's part of American history. The long struggle for labor against corporate rule. But we didn't learn any of that. Interesting. But anyway, what they mean by America First is that we do continue to ignore all of that. And just pretend that America was never racist, that we've always had great opportunities for regular people, working people. There was never a problem with the United States. We were always tremendous and we were always great and something. Jesus wrote the Constitution. All that stuff. That's what America First education really is about. Propaganda. So now the plan was originally backed by a firm called Strong Mind. Ironic. Now, the education firm is based in Arizona, and basically they had gotten together with this Charlie Kirk group, Turning Point USA, and programmers had actually begun working on the project. In fact, they had plans to open the online academy by the fall of 2020 and assessed that its potential was to generate over $40 million in gross revenue at full capacity, which they, basically guessed would be around 10,000 or so students. Oh, all right. Well, now, notice how the main issue here is, well, it's going to generate a lot of money. Well, it's going to generate a lot of money pushing lies and propaganda. Because, that propaganda ain't free. I mean, come on, right? But no, here's the thing. There was some contention here. Now, that contention being, they found out that this was related to Charlie Kirk. Now, the firm's plans, according to the Post, disintegrated last week amid a Washington Post investigation and backlash from strong-minded employees concerned about the prospect of Turning Point-directed lesson plans. Interesting. A key subcontractor tapped to prepare course material also backed out after learning that Kirk's group was the ultimate client. Now, according to the report, one of the sources of conflict in the deal was that strong-minded employees were asked to alter their own coursework to be suitable for projects with Charlie Kirk. So, as an example, they gave the company manager said Turning Point might have problems with the lesson plan using a speech by a Republican president to highlight propaganda techniques, according to people familiar with the comments. Oh, would you look at that? I mean, why would they be looking at Republicans for propaganda techniques? Well, that's because that's what they do. That's literally what they do. Yes, they look to right-wingers because right-wingers love to disseminate propaganda, at least in this country, right? And I'm not saying that, there hasn't been any ostensibly left governments in the world. And you can look at, of course, China, you can look at the Soviet Union, whatever. They'd had their own version of propaganda as well. So again, let's be totally honest and fair about that. But that said, propaganda by people in power, usually they use that propaganda to try to stay in power. And so here's Charlie Kirk trying to push this propaganda onto kids, K through 12. And so now, if you're concerned, by the way, if they were concerned about Charlie Kirk, being mad about Republican presidents pushing propaganda or using that as an example of propaganda, well, then wait till you hear what Charlie Kirk's thoughts are on the transgender cyborgs that are coming. Yes, the trans cyborgs. They're going to give us an exoskeleton. Wait, that sounds awesome. I'll take robot arms or an exoskeleton. That'd be sweet. But no, apparently that's part of the trans agenda, according to Charlie Kirk. But anyway, there's other things that Charlie Kirk has also said. Things that he said about black people or COVID-19. COVID-19 literally killed Charlie Kirk's mentor. I mean, just go look at his show. Look at his record. There's a wealth of things that Charlie Kirk has said openly that would make any rational, regular person not want to work with anything associated with him or Turning Point USA. But I did say rational people, also good people, right? Because, as far as Kirk's intentions go, they're bad. Nonetheless, full speed ahead. In fact, Andrew Colvett, who is a spokesperson, said this: Kirk still intends to open the academy, though with other partners. And they called the agreement with Strongmind non-binding and non-exclusive. So here we are. Conservatives, they're working to try to propagandize the kids. Now, I have more examples of this. And this has been popping up more and more often. Matt Walsh has a kid's book. Matt Walsh. Ben Shapiro. I'm showing you a video of him giving political talks in classes about how, Joe Biden's terrible and taxes are theft. Charlie Kirk is trying to operate a private school for K through 12. And conservative activists are getting books banned in school libraries while claiming that there are litter boxes in the classrooms, or I'm sorry, not classrooms, but in the bathrooms for the students that identify as cats. No, none of that's true. None of that's true. None of the stuff that they're claiming is true. But understand what they're doing. Conservatives have realized that they have lost the current generations, millennials and Gen Z. They're lost to them. Why? Because, Generation Z and millennials are progressive. They don't believe in the lies. They can look up. They don't believe in the propaganda. And so now the right wing is trying to get in there early, get to the students, get to the kids, and fill them full of lies in order to win the culture wars for the future. They've already thought that far ahead. And they're destroying our education system. They're vilifying the teachers. They're trying to put body cameras on the teachers so that, people can watch them and make sure they're not teaching critical race theory. Or, they're going after institutions of learning, colleges. They're trying to fire professors for having teaching about factual information. They're trying to ban people from teaching evolution in class, teachers, and to get people to sue them for $10,000 for each occurrence. Hey, if you offend my deeply held values by teaching about facts and evolution, well, I can have my parents sue you. That's insidious. And what they're doing is that they are setting up their own system of political correctness. And that's what they're doing. They don't care about being factually correct because they're not. They're setting up political correctness. They're saying, if you don't believe what I believe, then I'm going to shut you down. We're going to fine you. That's what's going on here. And unfortunately, they seem to be winning the messaging war. It's a sad day for education. All right. Go to Matt Walsh. But my cancel culture. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm going to show you the hilarious cancel culture here that we have. But first, a disaster story. Conservative hate pundit Matt Walsh has been busted for attempting to lure in influential members of the transgender community in order to do a so-called documentary. So now, this is a very insidious tactic because this is not going to be about like, oh, we're a completely impartial, fair documentary on the lives of trans people. No, they're going to use the footage to turn around and attack trans people. So now UCSC researcher Ellie Ehrlich had exposed this effort in a Twitter thread. So I want to show that to you here. First, this is just her quote. It started with an email from something called the Gender Unity Project a couple of weeks ago. They claimed they were doing a film on the trans community and gave me names of well-known trans individuals and surgeons that they had interviewed. It all seemed pretty normal at first, and even talked to the producer, McKenna Lynn Waters, keep that name in your head, on the phone beforehand. She sounded like a well-meaning cis film graduate who was just curious about the trans community. All right. So, she says it seems innocent enough, but let me look into it. She claimed the documentary was self-funded. I was suspicious because she had just finished college recently, but figured she was just a rich kid who has that kind of money. Later, she told me in person that they were interviewing in Chicago, suddenly canceled. This happens, but still sus. Then she offered to fly me to Arizona. Again, the surgeon they were interviewing wasn't responding to them. And then finally to Nashville, where Matt Walsh lives. So now there's more to this. From then on, Ellie explains that on release forms that she had received, they had no company listed, no company name listed at all. She then looked up the Gender Unity Project and then looked up the person that she had talked to on the phone. Who, by the way, she said, the person I talked to was very, very nervous, seemed very nervous to be talking to me at the same for some odd reason. I don't know, I just chalked this up maybe to nerves or not being used to talking to people. But then again, when you combine it with some of the other stuff, it got very sus, very suspicious. Now, it turns out that the person isn't actually a real person. I just mentioned that McKenna Lynn. After she said that after some heavy searching, I realized that she used her middle name in her emails. I found the IMDb page of her real name, which is McKenna Waters. McKenna Waters is Matt Walsh's producer. Oops. Her Twitter features videos of Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro saying some insidious, pretty hateful things against trans people. So now Ellie describes this as not just a red flag, but a gun to her face. And of course, I'm inclined to agree. Ellie. And so it did not stop there. After looking even further into the Gender Unity Project, Ellie discovered that it was registered to Justin Folk. Justin Folk is a far-right documentarian who also happens to work for Matt Walsh and Prager University. Gee, I wonder if they're serious about making a fair representation of the lives of transgender Americans. I wonder if they're going to be objective and impartial. No, no, because Matt Walsh had telegraphed this entire thing when he declared that he was going to have an assault on gender ideology and was planning and working on something special. Gee, I'm guessing that this is probably what that is. And by the way, Walsh's producer also reached out to the same person, Ellie. Here's what she said. After getting in contact with an interviewee, I noticed a producer, Rebecca Dobkowitz, emailed me back in July. Like McKenna, she used a fake last name. She refused to tell me the producer's name and then ghosted. Ghosted. And Ellie wasn't the only person from this organization. The only person that this organization had reached out to. As I mentioned, they reached out to other prominent members of the transgender community. So this Gender Unity Project, it is nothing to do with gender unity. It's a front group that was going to try to make a hit piece documentary on transgender Americans. So McKenna Waters, McKenna Lynn, whatever name she went by, was using fake names, fake credentials, and a fake story to try to make this hate documentary to incite people against transgender Americans. It's absolutely disgusting. It's gross. It's exploitative. It's perfectly on brand for Matt Walsh, honestly. So now that this has been busted wide open, here you have Twitter suspending the account of the Gender Unity Project, and you also had the Walsh's producer that was named in this. Suddenly their account has been deleted. Weird how that works out. And by the way, Justin Folk also put his account on protected. Oops. Oh no. They're so absolutely busted. You don't do that if you didn't do anything wrong. So busted. So now look, I can't give enough credit to Ellie Ehrlich for digging into this and finding out the truth about what these people are doing and warning other people, other members of the community, and everyone else about the hateful intentions of people like Matt Walsh. Again, there's still a ton of hate and misinformation that is directed against trans people, and they're using it as part of the conservative culture wars. And people like Matt Walsh, again, they can't wait. They can't wait to do anything they can to drive fear and hate towards a community that deserves neither of those things. You know what the community deserves? Understanding, love, compassion, and respect. And they need those things more than ever. Okay. Let's do a documentary on Matt Walsh. Oh, if only we had the money. If only lefties had the money that the conservative outlets have to do all these things, but we don't. All right. Conservatives have been on a crusade to ban books for what they consider to be inappropriate content. This is a story, of course, that I've been covering for quite some time. Some examples of Katy, Texas, that's pulling books off their shelves. There's a Tennessee school board that was unanimously voting to remove a novel about the Holocaust from its curriculum. And other schools have banned books containing American history because of some undefined critical race theory boogeyman. And of course, any book dealing with female or LGBTQ plus characters or content, they say, has absolutely no place in the schools. In fact, they're even doing book burnings. Now, of course, as a lot of us know, there is one book that is controversial that conservatives would actually love to have back in the classroom. Any guesses what it is? Well, it's the Bible, of course, but they talk about it all the time. Hey, get the God back in the schools. Oh, yeah. See, the schools got bad when you took God out of it. Yeah, we got to protect the kids from the ungodliness. Which is funny because they won't protect them from school shootings, but they're going to try to protect them from subversive books. Yeah, okay. But anyway, I always ask, do those people actually know what's in the Bible? What's in the Bible? Do you actually read it? Do you know what's in there? Well, I'm guessing that a lot of people don't. And so, look, I want to show you a video here. This is from the Good Liars, who asked some conservatives, told them stories about what's actually in the Bible to see if they would be okay with banning the Bible from school. This video does not disappoint.
There's a book that we've seen that's in libraries and lots of schools that features a story of two daughters having sex with their dad.
Oh, wow.
They get their dad drunk to have sex with him. And this is like a book.
Oh, my God.
Should a book like that be in a school?
No.
No?
No.
Just get that out of the school.
Absolutely.
Why do kids need to read that?
That book is actually the Bible.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
No. The Bible? No. They don't read the Bible. You know why? Because most people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people who read the Bible, you know what happens to them? They become atheists. Or at least, agnostic. Because a lot of the stuff in there, not good. There's a lot of terrible stuff in that, actually. Because, the story, and it's a real story, it's the story of Lot. And basically, yes, his daughter gets Lot drunk and tries to rape him. Now, it's because they believe that they're the last humans left alive, or at least in that region, right? That's just one story. The Bible is filled with other very messed up things. Now, for example, the murder of every firstborn child in Egypt. That happened during a magical battle between the Pharaoh and Moses. They had, again, issues of slavery. You had human sacrifice. Again, Abraham's son was nearly offered up as a sacrifice to try to prove their loyalty to God. The Bible is filled with horrors, war, abortion, death, violence, and lots of weird things too. Very, very occultish things. Stuff that you might find in Harry Potter. Again, if you've read about what they would consider to be angels, that would give you nightmares. Read the actual biblical accounts of what the angels were supposed to look like. It wasn't no cute cherub, all right? It wasn't no cute cherubs. You had monsters. You had the book of Revelations containing 7-headed dragons. Here's a quote. John saw it rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. It was like a leopard, with feet like the feet of a bear, and had a mouth like a lion. Weirdo stuff. Nightmare fuel. And again, none of it's real, thankfully. It's as real as Harry Potter, but seriously, if you want that in schools, okay, let's be fair. If you want the Bible in schools, fine, I just want it treated the same way that we treat other books of fiction. That's all. Okay. And you know what? If you're going to have the Bible in there, let's have the Quran. Let's have the Torah, which is, again, part of the Bible, the Old Testament. Let's have the Bhagavad Gita in there. Let's have that. Let's have all of this, the old books. Why not? Why not? Treat them the same way that you would treat any other fictional book, fictional story. And you can have them in schools. Teach it all. Teach it all. Yes. So now there's one comment that was on that video that I think was really good. And it actually explains the hypocrisy, I think, better than I could, personally. And the comment is as follows. Basically, if children and teenagers are getting taught these stories in Sunday school from a very young age, referring to the Bible, and we all know the children and teenagers growing up in conservative households wanting to ban inappropriate books are, then they're definitely capable of reading modern, thoughtful stories that caution against the horrors of genocide and fascism, show that queer relationships aren't evil, and point out, hey, racism exists and is bad, without melting into the floor. Got a good point. Now, of course, there's a reason. There's a reason they don't want to. And it's because they don't want these kids having access to opposing viewpoints to this, to what they believe in. They do not want other narratives in the schools, in education, except for their own. Why is that? Again, it's because they're afraid that kids will make up their own minds for what to believe, and that it will be different from them. And they can't stand it. They can't stand it. They want to control the narrative. And they want to ensure that kids grow up not to see different views or be empathetic towards people who are different, but no, to inherit their parents' exact beliefs in order to propagate them. That's the entire point behind the book bannings, behind the book burnings. And I talked about that recent book burning in Tennessee. It was hosted by Pastor Greg Locke, who, again, was having fun banning or burning Harry Potter books and all sorts of books that they didn't like or didn't agree with. And then you had that American hero throwing in a Bible. Hey, it's a book burning. He didn't agree with the Bible, so he threw the book in. That's what book burnings are for. You burn the books. You burn the books you don't agree with, right? Well, they weren't too happy about him throwing in the Bible. Only the things that they agree with, those are the ones that they like. Those are the ones that they want to keep. But everything else, they're going to throw it away. They're going to throw it in the fire. Maybe it should be our job to, stop them from literally burning and banning books and banning education. So, all right. I think I'm pretty clear on that. I don't have the clip ready, unfortunately. I was in a bit of a hurry. All right. Last story for y'all. Dutch residents of Rotterdam. Let me start that again. I said the city wrong. Dutch residents of Rotterdam are not thrilled with Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. In fact, they have threatened to show the billionaire exactly what they think about him and his brand new giga yacht or mega yacht or whatever they're calling it, super yacht. Now, that super yacht, and what this has to do with the residents of Rotterdam, is that it's being by Dutch firm Oceano, not far from the city. Now, it's causing controversy because it would be the world's largest sailing vessel and therefore too big to fit under a historic Koningshaven Bridge, which is known as De Hef. Now, that's a national monument, built back in 1878, but in order to get the boat out, they got to take the bridge apart. They got to literally take the middle of the bridge out and let the boat pass through. It's that big. Now, the Bezos boat, just to give you the dimensions of this thing, it is the largest sailing super yacht and is 417 foot long. That's 50 feet larger than a football field and has 3 large masts that are over 130 feet high. 130 feet is the clearance for the bridge for De Hef, which is why they need to deconstruct that bridge just to get it through. And by the way, this yacht is so big that they also had to build a slightly smaller support yacht, with its own helipad. How much did it cost? It's estimated that it cost about, just south of $500 million, or about $500 million. Man, isn't it great that Jeff Bezos didn't pay any taxes? What a great use of the money. And by the way, I'm referring to the years of 2007 and 2011, where Bezos himself paid nothing in federal income taxes. Nothing. But hey, guess what? That helped him get a support yacht, everyone. Now, in response to this, of course, you had some Dutch residents that were not happy about this. And they took to Facebook for an event titled Throwing Eggs at Super Yacht Jeff Bezos. As of now, and it will probably grow, more than 3,000 people have already planned to attend, while additional 13,000 have an interest in doing so. The event is scheduled for Wednesday, June 1st at 5 p.m. I would assume that's local time. Now, the event description reads, calling all Rotterdammers, take a box of rotten eggs with you and let's throw them en masse at Jeff's super yacht when it sails to the Hef in Rotterdam. According to the New York Post, who tracked down the creator of this event and talked to him, it's Pablo Strawman, who said this: Rotterdam was built from the rubble by Rotterdammers, and we don't just take it apart for the phallus symbol of a megalomaniac billionaire. Agreed. Not without a fight. When asked what motivated him to make this event, he replied, because I'm a Rotterdammer and I think people with a lot of money should realize that you can't make everything go exactly your way. With this call, we make our voice heard in a playful way, and I think that is going very well. Look, even if they don't do that, just the fact that so many people would be interested in throwing eggs at Jeff Bezos' boat, I mean, that says enough. That sends a message. Now, here's the thing. So there's legitimate anger here. Not just the fact that it's Jeff Bezos' giant super yacht, but like, they're going to take apart a bridge. And by the way, this is going to take about more than 2 weeks to take it apart and then reassemble it. And so if you got to use that bridge to go to work, well, that sucks. That's going to slow the flow of traffic. It's going to make things difficult to get around if you use that bridge for travel. And so, and that is all for Jeff Bezos and his fucking ego. That's all it's about. Like, just so he can go through. Yeah, the level of entitlement, absolutely. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pay $500 million for this boat that needs an additional boat so I can park the boat in my boat that has my helicopter on it. Okay, I'm gonna do all of that, and I'm gonna inconvenience all of you for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, just so I can get the goddamn boat out. And what do we get from it? Now, they're saying, we'll pay for the costs of taking the bridge apart and putting it back together. Again, what about the annoyance level? You're going to pay everybody who's pissed off and annoyed that now they're not going to be able to cross the bridge for 2 weeks? No. And by the way, this bridge, I think it was a few years ago, that was already repaired. So I don't think it really needs any new repair work on this. Sure, if they can replace a couple of pieces, but that's not the point. The point is, you're inconveniencing regular working people in order to have Jeff Bezos get his superboat. And that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Again, nobody needs a super yacht. You don't need it. You know what people need? People need health care. People need decent pay. People need labor unions to defend their own interests. Now, you know what Jeff Bezos doesn't like? Any of those things. He can't stand it. You know what he did during the Amazon Bessemer Alabama union fight, put out anti-union propaganda through texts, messaging, and holding anti-union captive audience meetings. That means you can't leave. You're not allowed to leave because it's technically on company time. But we're going to give these presentations in order to bust unions. Yeah. They even Amazon got busted violating labor law by literally illegally arranging for a U.S. Postal Service mailbox to be installed in a parking lot during the union election. The union alleged that it gave the impression that Amazon might have had access to the secret ballots cast by workers, or that workers might be under surveillance as they cast their votes. So now understand, when you are in the middle of a union drive, these companies that don't want your union will retaliate. If they know that you're in favor of a union, they'll fire you in a lot of places. So, these are places that have at-will employment. Oh, you're doing a union drive? Oh, looks like your performance review, it's just not good. We're going to have to let you go. I know that there are laws technically on the books, like, oh, you can't fire for somebody for organizing a union. But union, again, at these at-will states, you can fire people for anybody, any reason. Anybody for any reason. So, yes, you could be organizing a union, and then they could be like, we just don't think you're a right fit here. You were a little slow, or, oh, you took a vacation day, or you were sick the other day because you had to go pick up your kids. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. We just have to let you go. If you don't think they can find a way around those laws to fire people for organizing labor, you don't know how insidious insidious anti-labor companies can be. They can do whatever they like and find a reason. And so now Amazon is alleged to have moved forward with installing those boxes anyway, even after the National Labor Relations Board had denied its request to place ballot drop boxes on site. So they literally, again, broke labor law flagrantly, in order to try to crush the unions. So now, as a result, of course, they get to redo their union drive, and hopefully this time we'll get a better result. But I'm just saying, that's the kind of stuff that these companies will do. And by the way, those practices are exactly why people like Jeff Bezos are as rich as they are. You don't get that wealthy by not stepping on a few people along the way. Now, that said, getting back to the egging, I realize that, yes, organizing your workplace for Amazon, if you're in a warehouse, is a far more meaningful action than egging the Bezos boat. And I would definitely, encourage people to try to unionize their workplace. However, I cannot deny that it wouldn't feel just excellent, if you would, in order to, to be in Rotterdam around June 1st, I just happen to have a carton of eggs. And who knows what would happen afterwards? Who knows? All right. All right. That's all I got today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's see. I know I have some things to read that I didn't get to yesterday. So let me do just that. Let's do some super chats from yesterday and from today as well. Here we are. All right. So let's see. I think I did read those from Gabby Mathis. Thank you for the 2 super chats yesterday. saying that Harris could choose the next president, and Sinema is getting money from Republicans. All of that is true. Fractured Dragon today says Trump is only concerned about vanity. He cares how he looks. Defeat means weakness. Oh, and his money. Yep, vanity, absolutely. Gabby Mathis says, hugs to all the Waldorf Nation people. They're needed after all the negative news. Yeah, sorry about being negative Nancy right here. And I don't mean Nancy Pelosi. But yeah, look, I got to give the bad news. It's just what I do. Anyway, yesterday as well, thank you, Smatty Dragon, for resubbing for a month at Tier 1. It's over on Twitch. And Depressed Progressive, thank you for the 300 bits yesterday as well. So I'm sorry I didn't get to that. I'll try to get better, but I needed to get out of here yesterday. So anyway, thank you for all that. Again, you really do help out a lot, and I really, really, really appreciate it. There's a couple more comments here. Hold. Literally, Bezos thanked the workers for sending him to space right after the news came out that they had to pee in bottles in line. Garbage human. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Under right to work state laws states that the authority to determine whether workers can be required to join a labor union or to get or keep a job. Let's see. Jobs will find dumb reasons to let people go just before they're eligible. Oh, yep, I've had that happen to me. Let's see. Are there egg cannons? I don't know. Maybe this will end up like the Trump rope parade. That would be fun. Well, not for them. Let's see. There's one that I missed here. Break it, you buy it. Yeah, that'll work. All right. No, I think I missed it. All right. Well, anyway, thank you again for going around the nation with me today. Please like and share the stream. Please like and share the videos. Very important you do so as well. Helps out. And we need all the help that we can get over here in independent media. So let's do a raid here. We have Jordan Ewell. Yeah, let's raid into watch Deep Dive with Jordan Ewell. Everybody, let him know. Let him know that Jeff sends his regards. Everyone else, love you all, and remember, change begins with you. Oh, one more thing: the Million Nurse March. Nurse Betty, I'll look into that. I will definitely look into that. If it's something that I can support, then I will absolutely do so. Again, love you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps. Obama. Disappointed!
I have not loved this conversation. Please clap. You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.